Good morning, everybody. It's Positive Tuesday today, September 24th, 2024. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Dryden Wire founder Ben Dryden, and you're watching The Big Show, Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Like Fitzy and I, they believe it's the little things that make a big difference. Give them a call today. See what they can do for you. The number's right there on the screen, 715-520-2271. Good morning, Sharon and Fitzy. Good morning. How was your weekend?
Good. Pretty quiet weekend. I went to River Falls and watched my nephew play quarterback for the University of River Falls, and he had an awesome game. They won 66-7, and I see he's the athlete of the week for River Falls. So, yeah, he ended up being the starting quarterback because the other quarterback got hurt. So, got to see him throw a touchdown, run a touchdown. It was pretty cool. I've never been to college football game. I've never been to to River Falls to watch a game. Yeah. So it was pretty cool.
What grade is he in?
He is a junior, but he's got a 5th year of eligibility. So he's got this year plus 2 more. So he should be the starter next year. The starter is a senior, I believe. And but yeah, he can run the ball 80 yards. He was on the 20, he ran at 80 yards. It was pretty neat.
How awesome is that? The Fitzgeralds cool. With your son, playing hockey, and you played basketball. Little
post. I played college basketball. I was a Barron County Charger.
Yeah, boy, that's awesome. That's a good weekend.
I didn't really play college basketball. I mean, I was on the team, but I didn't really play.
It still counts.
It does. I have a letter. I'm an NCAA champion. Mm-hmm. I don't know whatever it is.
Awesome.
What do you know?
Nothing. We had a great weekend here at the house. We had the my son Ken turned 15.
That's right.
And my second oldest daughter, Annalise, 21, she came up from Bloomers. So it was family time. Didn't get a chance to even watch a lot of football. But hey, speaking of football, so obviously, right. So we're going to be getting to obviously the kind of the big water cooler story. Over the last week was a situation down in Rice Lake, which, I mean, unless you lived on a rock, you've probably heard about it. And we'll talk about that on the show. But we always like to start the first few minutes talking about sports to kind of wait for people to chime in or to start watching and get comfortable. We're doing our picks. So we pick 4 games every week in the NFL to just randomly 4 games, and you and I kind of pick. Right now, through 3 weeks of the 12 we've done, I'm leading 9 out of 12. I'm 9 for 12, and you're 8 for 12. So I'm up 1 on you.
All right.
So what are we picking this week?
How about the Dallas and the Giants?
Dallas and the yeah. So Dallas is kind of a tire fire, but the only team like worse is the Giants, I think.
Right. That's the Thursday night game.
Thursday night. Oh, really? Well, it's the Cowboys, the most talked about, most polarizing football team. Right. Yeah, I'll go Cowboys on that one. What about you?
I'll take the Giants.
What?
Yeah, you watch.
I will. Oh, my goodness. All right. What's the second one?
I haven't found it. How about Philadelphia and Tampa Bay? Eagles and the Buccaneers.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, I know.
That's
I'm looking for the tough
ones. Oh, Larry sees my book. See a little product placement there. Landrich Casper, the book in the behind. We had the author of that on our show last week.
Right.
It was brilliant. Boy, I'll go Eagles.
I'll take Tampa Bay.
I figured you would. You're all in on Baker Mayfield this year. Okay. What else?
You got them, right?
Oh, Chiefs, yeah, I did have 2 that I'd recommend. Chiefs and Chargers. I feel like this could be a trap game for the Chiefs because they're winning, but like by 1 or 2 points every game. And, the Chargers with your boy Jim Harbaugh from Michigan, the head coach.
Right.
It's a trap game. I think the Chiefs could lose this, but I'm still picking the Chiefs. Who do you have?
Oh, well, good. I'll take the Chargers. This is going to throw our stats all in.
This is going to be great. Great. And then, of course, the big game for at least our area, Vikings and Packers. Vikings are at the Packers. Now, it's interesting because is Jordan Love, I looked this morning, he is listed on the injury report as questionable. And then Sam Darnold is listed as questionable, but reports say he is going to be playing. Right. I mean, that's huge. Like, I don't know who's the starting quarterback, The Packers have just been getting away with just running the ball like crazy, but that's going to be tough to do against Minnesota. I'm actually going to go.
Defense on Sunday was crazy. How great the defense was for Minnesota. I mean, that was unreal.
Vikings, Packers at Packers. I think Packers have the line at 2.5. Who are you going with?
Oh, I got the Vikings.
I do too. Okay, so that's one out of the 4 we have the same.
Yeah.
You said the defense.
The defense. How about Washington last night beating Cincinnati? I mean, that's
the bigger story, of course, is Cincinnati. What is going on? 0-3.
And they threw the ball, opened it up with that touchdown to Jamar, and I mean, but man, they couldn't get it together. And Washington looked good. I mean, they looked like a fun team to watch. So who would ever thought the Washington Commanders would be a fun team to watch?
That Jalen Daniels out of LSU, their rookie quarterback, boy, he's looking good.
Yeah,
but they're running him too much, but other than that, he's looking good.
The story of the NFL right now.
Who is?
Just the Vikings are a story of the NFL.
Right. Yeah, Mike Schaefer will be happy. I'm surprised he's not watching this morning.
Still watching highlights because there were so many.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we got some obviously bigger stories to talk about here. So we'll get to that in 15 seconds after a word from Spooner Health.
Spooner Health, compassion is at the center of everything we do. It's rooted in who we are and why we're here. It unites us as providers, neighbors, and as a community. Learn more at spoonerhealth.com.
All right. Before we get to the false alarm active shooter situation that happened last week, I wanted to bring this up. We did a story. Our headline was "Renew Roofing owner James Emerson sentenced to prison on conviction of child enticement." I don't know if you saw that or not. It was a Washburn County story, I guess, but I think they have like an office, or their main office, I think maybe in Barron, somewhere down there. But sometimes you and I have been, I don't know if I want to say critical, but kind of question some decisions or some outcomes of certain cases, like would have liked to seen more, whatever. So the situation basically was an investigation started in January about against James Emerson regarding some child enticement. It's on our website, so I don't really want to get into the details on the show of what had happened. A criminal complaint was filed in March, ended up taking a plea deal, and of one of the 2 counts of child enticement. The second one was just dismissed but read in, which is important that it's still read in. And then in just last week, I think it was, just last week, right after our show, he was sentenced to the max 25 years they could get, 15 years in prison and 10 years extended supervision. The state asked for 15 and 10. The defense, which was a little surprising to me, asked for 5 and 10. I honestly thought they would have done like 1 or 2. That was kind of weird. And then Judge Winton went with the 15 years in and 10 out. Obviously, we wish it could have been 500 years, but, it's under the umbrella of what the law says, the max that you can do. I just want to give a shout out and a kudos to the Washburn County Sheriff's Office and the investigators, the district attorney's office, the victim coordinator, all that went into this. Yeah. Because this started in March, the criminal complaint, and 6 months later, the dude's in prison. Right. You know as much as I do, that doesn't happen this fast. And I know 6 months sounds like a long time, but these are like a year and a half, and some of them are 2 or 3 years long. 6 months. Yeah. Just want to give a big shout out to all of them. I don't know if you saw that story, and if so, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, again, a shout out to the victim witness coordinator and the district attorney and the sheriff's department and their detectives, because I think it's important to note that these cases do go on, and if you do the case right, normally, the district attorney charges it, and then the people think about it. But in this case, I think because it was a solid law enforcement case, maybe the person felt guilty and he pled guilty. I don't know the whole story behind it, but I also agree that I'm glad it got 15 and 10. I think it's important. And I think a lot of people forget that read in, that does count towards sentencing.
It does.
A lot of times they don't count it.
No, it's when people see the first one, like the plea deal, and pleads guilty to one, the other one was dismissed. Yes, but don't forget the second part, but read in. And where that's impactful and important is sentencing, that they can't add on that charge of another 25 years in the sentencing, but they can consider the severity of the situation of the other charge. They can consider that other part. That's very important. I think people sometimes don't understand or pay attention to the read in part.
or sometimes it gets read in, but not really accounted for, in my opinion. And that we've seen that happen too.
Yep.
So again, shout out to the whole process. This is what it's about. And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. And this is
it's a win-win-win. And obviously our thoughts,
justice system.
Yeah. And obviously our thoughts to the victim and the victim's family, because obviously they're going to be scarred for life. So that's why I'm like, I feel like the sentence should be that. Right. Like if there's a victim, and you and I have talked about it before, especially a child, you should just go to prison like for the rest of your life. But you should be in prison as long as the other person is going to be impacted by this. Obviously, the victim is going to be impacted the rest of that person's life. So therefore, you should be in prison the rest of your life. But whatever. Shout out to them. And it was, again, quickly expedited case. Seriously, 6 months from criminal complaint to a sentence on a case like this. That was pretty awesome.
That is great work.
All right, so on Thursday night, there was a situation, just real quickly, what we had done. Friday morning, we had a headline. We published a press release from the Rice Lake Police Department. Our headline was, "No evidence of active shooter found following multiple reports in Rice Lake." Then later that day, the district attorney had sent a press release. Our headline was, "Two charged for public panic after modified vehicle sparks active shooter scare in Rice Lake." And then Saturday morning, after we received the criminal complaint and put all that information out to kind of there was a lot of misinformation even after the the district attorney's thing. So we wanted to make sure everybody knew, like, you can have an opinion, that's fine, but just know the information first. And our headline was, "Criminal complaint reveals details about Barron County active shooter case." So let's start from the beginning. Thursday. I don't even recall what time this all started. I should have had those stories.
6:03, I think it was, p.m.
Okay, so where were you? And walk us through from your perspective.
Yeah, and I'm going to give my perspective, but hats off to law enforcement across the county for this one. I was sitting at home. I had my computer up in my office all the time. I'm eating supper, watching TV. Actually, Holly and I had just come back from downtown. They had a Main Street Fall Fest. We had walked around, just did a lap down Main Street, got a piece of pizza and brought it home. And I was sitting down to eat it. And I looked at my screen on my computer and it said "man with a gun call." And I'm like, it's really weird, but that happens. People report things, and it said possible shots fired at I think it was the Dollar Tree or somewhere by the Walmart in there, that possible shots fired, and Rice Lake PD was en route, and again, didn't think a lot about it. And then got my radio, turned my radio on and was listening. And then they said people were running, and they were confirming that shots were fired. At that time, my phone went off. That's called an admin page. Page is all my admin team to let us know there's a serious call going on. Doesn't mean I have to respond. It just says there's a serious call. Instead of calling everybody, we have a one-touch button in dispatch. They hit, boom, we get the information directly to our phone. They don't have to call us. They don't have to call 4 or 5 people saying, hey. So definitely I jumped in my car, threw my vest on, and drove down there to the scene. Got there. As I was pulling up, they were trying to confirm the story at Walmart. Rice Lake PD was. We got another report of another incident of possible shots fired at the Menards area. So Chief Rue was blocking something. Their captains were on their way in. Their officers, we had officers coming from all over. From Cameron, from Barron, from Chautauqua, from Cumberland, from Turtle Lake, from the Sheriff's Department. And it happened to be right at shift change. So 6 o'clock, we check in. So some of the people were just still driving home. Some of my day shift people were driving home. Some of the PD's day shift people were still there. So we got a double response to a degree, because a lot of the day shift people they were still in their squad cars, or they were still at their PD or whatever. So we got a double response, which was good. That was what we needed. So I had my day shift and my night shift people there. Got another report. So I stopped at actually Owen and Highway 53, right by the Walmart at the roundabout. Was the canine officer was tracking or took a report of someone running or something. I don't know the exact information, but he wanted to search an area. So I set up a mini command post. I don't know. It really wasn't. It was just we're going to meet here and we're going to search this area. As I was searching that area, or we were just about to search that area, we got another incident into our dispatch center about shots fired at the Rice Lake Middle School.
Hold on.
Okay.
So from the time that you first saw this and
Mhm.
until about right now, about how much time has gone by? Hour?
No, 10 minutes. Not
Oh
even.
my goodness.
Probably 10 minutes. Yeah, I mean, it's 10 minutes. It don't
Okay.
take me long. I live in the city of Rice Lake, so
Oh, right.
it took me, with red lights and siren, it took me 2 minutes to get to Walmart. I didn't change clothes. I just,
Yep.
whatever I was wearing, I ran out the door.
So in those 10 minutes, obviously nobody knows any answers yet. No one knows what's going on yet. What was going through your mind? Do you recall?
Just to figure out what was going on. No.
Okay, so you're like hyper focused. Just got it. All right.
We're trying to figure it out. We're trying to confirm things, and I think Rice Lake PD did a great job of stopping and saying, "Hey, did you see this? Hey, did you see this?" And they were setting up a perimeter. And then when Menards happened, it took people to go here. It took people to go here. So because we didn't know, is it someone just shooting a gun up in the air? Is it someone shooting at people? At Walmart, when I got to Walmart, the officer said, and I don't know which officer said it, something to the effect of, "We can't find anybody hit. Nothing's been hit, or nobody's been hit." So we knew it wasn't like an active shooter where there was people laying around, but people were running, people were scared. There's no question it caused panic. At Menards, there was panic. Again, when somebody got to Menards, and I don't know what officer got to Menards, said, "No one's hit here. People are hiding. The store's in lockdown." Walmart was in lockdown. So we had 2 stores in lockdown. I don't know about the stores in between. I assume they were in lockdown. So, yeah, we're only about 10 to 12 minutes into this. I would guess. I mean, maybe my times are off. I haven't looked at the times. But at this time, we were going to search an area where the Rice Lake canine officer wanted to search an area, which I think was a great move. I think I know Chief Rue was on the backside providing perimeter. And that's what we do. I think it's not always about running and saying I'm the guy in charge. It's about filling the gaps, and that's what my admin team does. That's why we have the one-touch push button. At this time, it was obvious when we had 2 scenes, and I didn't know if it was someone shooting in the air or if they were shooting at people and just missed, or what the story was. So I had decided to call our SWAT team. So I paged our SWAT team at that time. So our SWAT team could get coming, and that gave us more people. Ultimately, I hit another button, and I paged every officer that we had. I said, "If you're at home, I want you in." That's what the page is. And again, dispatch can do that with one-touch button. I think technology is a great thing. We tested our system. I mean, ultimately, at the end of this was a good test for law enforcement, and a learning for some kids, a learning example. And I think it needs to be a little bit more than a learning example, but we'll dive into that in a little bit. But
did you get so you sent out that one touch thing, and you're calling like all hands on deck, but that's Barron County, right? And obviously SWAT I think is shared with right. Okay, are you getting any calls from, or did you call other counties at this point, or at any point did you reach out to Sheriff Finch, Sheriff Stewart here in Washburn at all?
No, we don't. There's too many. My phone was ringing.
Okay.
I mean, friends were calling me. People were calling me, texting me. I mean, I can't answer that. I'm trying to. I'm picking and choosing who the media is calling me.
I didn't.
Yeah, I know you didn't. But there was media. Facebook is going live, is what I've been told. None of that I can worry about. So I was picking and choosing who I was answering. I needed my people to answer their phone. I needed to talk to my admin team, Rice Lake PD's admin team. They were all there. I mean, they were blocking roads. I was trying to get their admin team to where we could all meet. So as admin, we could decide, you want to set up a command post. And that's what everybody was trying to do. The scenes were just too flexible. And then obviously when the middle school call came in, we had set up, I don't want to say a mini command post, but we had perimeter set. We were going to search an area. But when the World School comes in, that was a game changer for me. When somebody said they're shooting at a school and there's a football game outside, and I had been on the phone with the Rice Lake superintendent. That was one call I did take. And he said, I think they're shooting up here. I mean, he was up there at the time. He was going to close the football game. You just can't call a football stadium and say close. There's not a phone sitting up there in a middle school football game.
Right.
So he was driving up there from his office, which is only 3 blocks away, to say, you know what, we're going to not have outside events while this incident at Walmart. It's a mile away, but we're just not going to have outside events. We have some inside events. We can control that a little bit more. But when that school happened and people were calling 911 saying someone's shooting at a school, that was a game changer.
That takes it up a notch.
We gave up our position at 0-48. I'm sorry, 0-53 where we were, and everybody went to the school. And so it kind of looked silly because we all were racing this way, and we had just raced this way, and we were all racing that way. But that was a game changer for me, and I never had that, I guess, feeling before about a threat to a school. In that, there's been threats to schools. We've gone, code to schools for incidents. But when you say shots fired at a school and literally people are running, my chief deputy was one of the first people with the Rice Lake officer there, and he said literally people were running. If you read that criminal complaint, I think our coaches, they're like, coaches are diving on kids because they thought it was just someone just doing a drive-by shooting is what it was described to us. Luckily, there was 2 people that gave great descriptions of the vehicle. And these people didn't know if it was backfiring or if it was shots out of the car, or if it's shots in the air, or what the story was. But they gave a good description of a vehicle that we needed to look for. And immediately, as I was the last person to get to the middle school, because I waited for everybody to get going, I pulled our people from our search we were going to do. We put them in the car. Rice Lake PD had many officers coming in to help, and they were responding up there. We started collecting data, and it was this black car. And then we still had a scene at Walmart we were holding. And then an officer said that there was more possible shots fired behind the T-Mobile store, behind the strip mall. So that would have been on 19th Street. So we all started racing that way because we thought we were be able to box them in because we had enough people at that time. We had about 50 squad cars in this area.
Wow.
Which is a heck of a response in a short period of time. And obviously we ended up stopping this possible car, ends up being the car we were looking for, got him on a gunpoint, used our SWAT team to do some of that with the Rice Lake PD K-9. And ultimately it ends up being that this car backfires. But if you read the criminal complaint, they knew what they were doing. And so I have a problem with that. I mean, I understand it's kids. I understand. Well, they're not kids. They're 19 and 20 years old.
Well, you and I have talked about that. Anybody younger than us are kids. But no, you're right. They're not kids. These are adult males.
They're not 16-year-old kids doing dumb things. Now, they need to learn from this. But I know somebody put on, I think I saw on Dryden Wire that, how many times are you going to post about this? We're going to post about a lot. This is the biggest incident that we've had in Barron County since, I don't know, maybe ever.
Probably a Kloss case.
Well, yeah.
But that's different.
That's an investigation. This was an immediate response with active shooter. This car sounded like gunfire. It says it in the criminal complaint. I'm not telling you nothing that's secret. It says in there, they knew.
Yep, and it's on our website, and it's free for everyone to watch it. We normally put that under our insider, but we didn't. So on my side, on Thursday night when I found out that this was just likely a backfire thing, so I didn't do anything. Friday morning, I get up, and I see there was a press release from Rice Lake Police Department. Well, of course, we're going to publish a press release. We always do that from law enforcement. Right. So we published that, and I was thinking, all right, well, I guess let's wait till next week or a couple of weeks, wait till a criminal complaint's filed, request it, and then I might do a follow-up story on it, because we usually do. We follow stories to the end. But then all of a sudden, a few hours later, the DA sent a press release. I'm like, okay, we don't usually hear from the DA, and said their names and said we're charging them. So I'm like, okay, that's weird. So I put that one up. And then by the end of business, so this is on Friday, so end of business Friday, I realized, wait a minute, if he put a press release, that means charges are already filed, as in like the criminal complaint. So then I called and got that. And honestly, at that point, I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe we won't do a story on this. So I'll think about it, and maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Saturday morning, I wake up, and I look at the comments on the one from the DA, and there was like over 500 comments. And I think I read like 50 of them. And at this point, I've read the criminal complaint, and I saw so much misinformation.
Right.
It was just an accident. I'm like, no. It says right here, right? So that's I'm like, all right, well, now I just need to put this out so we can just inform everyone. This is what, at least according to the criminal complaint and in the investigation, that's actually what it was. But I cannot recall the last time I've received so many texts, messages, Facebook messages, emails, phone calls over one thing ever. And two, or B, I don't think I've ever seen an incident, number one, an incident, followed by a press release, followed by a district attorney's charge in a criminal complaint, all filed within 20 hours of the incident. That is rare. And so that kind of shows you how serious everyone was taking it. Now, I understand the charges. I think as last I checked, it was just, disorderly, but and that's a whole thing that, whatever. But I understand if you just look at the surface and the charges, you would think, but it's a lot bigger deal than that.
Right. It is a lot bigger deal. And hats off to Rice Lake PD for their investigation, their follow-up work on this, to get it to the DA right away. Hats off to Brian Wright and his team for getting the charges out there, because I think it stopped a ton of misinformation. It could have went on for days. Yes, it was a backfire. I heard it when they tested it. I know it sounded like gunfire, especially if you're not paying any attention. Could you have, if you were looking at the car and you saw it but the first time it pop, and then it kind of went pop, 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 like a regular backfire. I mean, I don't know if this was altered. I know nothing about the car. I saw the car. That's all I know. But I did hear it. It does make sense that why people would, especially if you have something at Walmart. Everybody at the football game knew that there was an incident at Walmart. And then to have this car drive by and do this, it's a big deal. I mean, I talked to some people that were at the middle school. And again, hats off to our superintendent in Rice Lake. Hats off to our coaches. Hats off to families. I mean, there's people just grabbing their kids and running. I've seen some of the emotion in people. I had friends up there that talked to me about this. I mean, it was you put fear in people's lives, and that's what irritates me, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. I don't care if they're 19 and 20. I don't want them to go to prison for the rest of their life.
No,
but I need them. But this has to be an example. We cannot. We talked about it 2 weeks ago. Perp walks. That guy in Florida wanted to perp walk kids for thefts. Not that I want to make an example with kids, but this has got to be an example that you can't.
Oh no! Wait, hold on. Just to be clear, it wasn't thefts. It was what do they call that when you call in fake threat? Threat. Yeah.
I meant threats, not the threats. And I don't want to perp walk these, but again, I don't want other kids to do this. This is very common in big cities, as we all learned about. So I agree that it should be, but it's not. I mean, it's not. There's not a law to create. There is a law to create panic. It's disorderly conduct. Yeah. They did charge. I think it's an enhancer. It's something.
Right. Well, it says in here. So I'm reading the actual. So our story is basically the criminal complaint, and yeah, you're right. Rice Lake superintendent described the situation at the middle school. Let me skip. Superintendent stated that this incident caused massive chaos and panic at the school. Rice Lake School, middle school were both placed on lockdown. Yeah, you're right. A superintendent described coaches jumping on top of players to protect them.
I mean, that's sad that we have to do that. But again, that shows our commitment to the adults, our staff, our superintendent, our cops, to step. I mean, there wasn't anybody thinking about this. They were just responding to the calls. But media got in our way. Media gave bad information. Not you.
Did they really? So I literally did not look at any media outlets.
Right. There was some radio things about the live active shooters, stay out of the area. We didn't put nothing out. Now, could we have?
Yeah, that's why we didn't. I'm like, I don't want to add to this, right? Because we're wrong, man.
I would have loved to put out information. We have a system in place. I talked to a friend of mine. They're like, hey, my wife was at the football game. Do you have a way to alert us if something like this is going on? And I said, yes, we do have a system in place. We, first of all, didn't have enough manpower to get it in going. And two, we can't give out information just, we needed to confirm some information first. And we didn't have anybody shot. We didn't have any buildings or windows smashed out. We didn't have anything, shot out. So we were determining, and Rice Lake PD, hats off to them. They were taking this big call and making it smaller right away. And then another big call happened, and they were making it smaller because there was no bullets, there was no fragments, there was no casings. They were determining that when the middle school happened. And so I think we would have, if we would have found casings, if we would have found a hurt person, I think we would have put out, it's called a code red alert. We can alert all the phones in our area to a certain circle. We do that when we have SWAT calls or we're evacuating. But we do have a touch button to notify all the superintendents and principals in the county that says blank school is going on lockdown. In this case, Rice Lake School went into lockdown. In fact, Cameron had an event. They went into a preventative. It's called secure. It's not a lockdown. It's secure. Their event still went on, but they paid more attention to what's going on and secured some of their doors. So that worked. Again, testing our system worked very well for a law enforcement response, a school response. Unbelievable. Could we have done a code red alert? Yes, we could have. If we'd have had 10 more minutes, I think we would have probably done one. But the situation was so fluid. Yeah. And again, we're going through all of this, changing things, working on different things. We had cops over here and they didn't have a lot of cops over here. Something else would have happened. So all of that went on. But again, hats off to Rice Lake PD for their response and their investigation into this.
Yeah, and you're right. So it was, I wouldn't necessarily say on purpose because I don't know that part. According to the criminal complaint, I don't know if they actually modified it according to the criminal complaint.
Right. I don't know about that.
If they did that on purpose. However, the criminal complaint, it did say if people were interviewed, they would put it in neutral and rev bomb, quote unquote rev bomb, to cause these sounds. And I'm just reading, skimming through part of our article we posted. Officers located and spoke with a female who had been at a vape store. So apparently they were there as they were watching all the cops go flying around, everybody. And there's reports about, gunfire, an active shooter. And she indicated she had observed 3 younger males inside the store and observed that they were laughing and made a comment about all the police showing up just because of their car exhaust. And apparently this female told them, you should call the police and let them know it's you. And it was just this. And allegedly one of them said, just keep letting them think it was gunshots.
Right.
That's the accountability part, right? This isn't just, come on. What are we doing? Look around.
Yeah, it's 2024 where we want to protect our kids. We want to protect our schools. And I don't think it's still a big deal. But I think when they went to the school and did it on Allen Street, I think that was if you want to say the icing on the cake for them, that really drew the attention of this is enough of this.
Yeah.
So when you do it at Walmart once and you say, "Ooh, I better not do that again," that's totally different. But when you do it and you go to a different place and do it, and these businesses go on lockdown, talk about restitution.
Yeah, Walmart, holy cow. And speaking of, what do you think? Maybe this isn't specifically that. Maybe this is actually on your end. What do you think the cost is to the response?
I don't have Rice Lake PD's number. I'm working on our numbers, but I'm sure our number is going to be between $2,000 and $4,000 just for the sheriff's department response.
Sure. Okay. And then it says here, what's that?
I'm just trying to make sure my numbers are right here.
Yeah. Also adds, I think, paying some restitution and community service restitution. So that's interesting. I am kind of curious because if Walmart, I don't know how long they're shut down. Let's say an hour. I don't know how much money Walmart loses in an hour, but I'm assuming it's a few pennies.
It's a bigger number than we all think. I think, especially if that's every night. It's not like it's 6 a.m. or it's 6 p.m. when people are shopping after work and people are getting groceries.
And I'm not saying that Walmart should go after I have no idea how that stuff works or whether or not, but
I think they will.
I would be surprised. I don't think they kind of screw around with that stuff.
Right. They can't, because you can't have a business and then it's like calling in bomb threats. I mean, you have restitution on some of that because you just can't do it because you don't want to go to work or because you don't want this or you don't want that. So businesses that lose money. Now, I don't think I'm going to get my restitution because I don't think you can. I'm going to try. I think this is one incident where I think they should pay for the law enforcement, medical team response, fire departments response. I think they should pay for that, to be honest, more than the store. But I get that the stores are important, and I don't get restitution a lot for the things that law enforcement does, which is fine. That's just how it works. But
what resource? What are you talking about, Larry?
He's saying it was a waste of resources for the type of call. So he's just saying on the kids, he's not blaming. I don't think Larry would do that. Larry's a law enforcement supporter. He's just saying it was a lot of wasted resources for that type of call, but we didn't know it was that type of call.
Well, right. I mean, you can't really look back. I mean, Monday morning quarterback, cheapers, like, well, had we know. But imagine if this was, somebody I think had commented on our page. I can't remember what the comment was, but it was along the lines of all that misinformation that was out there, and people should just wait to find the facts. And I think I even replied to that one. I'm like, I'm torn on that because misinformation, is 100% bad. Don't do that. But let's say this actually was an active shooter situation. It actually could have helped a lot of people stay away from certain areas. So, I'm a little mixed feelings on that one, or I can kind of see both sides on that one. But, certainly media should not be posting things that,
Well, and I get what people were doing, and I understand it because we don't know what was going on, and people were trying to help their friends and families and other people out. I get it. So, but I think.
Hey, pass this along to the district attorney. There's a suggestion for.
I think we need to come up with something unique like that. I think you're
on
the right path there. I'm not saying Washington squad cars, but I think there's something that can be done here to learn. Maybe every summer in the weekend they got to do community service, but every weekend, all summer, they can volunteer at somewhere, the library or somewhere. I think we can come up saying and do something like, hey, you wrecked all of this. We're not going to charge you restitution, but every summer weekend, you're going to work Monday through Friday, and every weekend you're going to do X, Y, and Z, whether you like it or not. So I think there's a way to do this, to learn, to do something. I'm not looking to put them in jail and prison, or maybe they spend one weekend. No, they didn't. They all spent the night in jail. They spent the night in jail.
Hey, when you're 19 and 21 and you spend the night in jail, that's a
right. So
you're not laughing now. That takes it up a notch.
Well, and if they were, then it'll come out if they were laughing in jail. But if they, everything is recorded. I mean, so if they were having fun in jail and laughing about it, that'll be showed in court.
That'd be disappointed.
I don't think they were. I got no reports of that. Right. I'm not saying that, but I think we can come up with something unique. I think it's going to take some time and effort. But I would guess Walmart and Menards and those places are going to say, we don't care who you are and how old you are and what you thought it was. Is it funny or not? You made us go into this lockdown because of this, and I think you're going to pay for that. And maybe they will sue them civilly. I don't know how that all works, but all in all, again, it tested our response. And I think we talked about this maybe a year ago when we went on some other thing and it tested our response. But we're talking about it. We want to do it better next time. We will do it better next time. But again, hats off to Race Lake PD. Hats off to our department. All of our deputies responded. I mean, I had 27 people show up. I mean, that's what I want. When I need help, that's what I want. So
I thought so. I didn't talk to you until Friday afternoon. I think I finally called after everything was finished, and it was actually even after the district attorney put out a press release, and I talked to you, and you just come out of a meeting or something. I think and I thought you had said something about you were getting calls from other places, like you were actually having to tell them, like other counties, you don't need to send anybody, or just hold on a minute. And you were talking about, at least on the phone with me, that how awesome that was. You didn't have to call anyone else. Like they were saying, what do you need? How many people? We're on our way. We're sending 6 or we're sending 2. And you were the one actually telling them, no, don't.
Right. I mean, and again, that's where Jeff Wallace, my counterpart in Rusk County, he's on our SWAT team. He serves as a commander, in his county. He came over and made some decisions on his way over, and we had Scott Knutson from St. Croix County was thinking about some resources and what do we need and we can help. And so we have that's what it's about. That's what law enforcement is, and that's what we do. But yeah, it made me think about when there's something going on in Hudson, I might just get in the car and drive there.
You've done that. Speaking of Scott Knudsen, you did that not long ago.
Right.
Well, I don't know, 6 months, a year ago or something like that. There was a situation and you went over and it's like, how can I help?
Right. And that's what we're starting to learn from a response. Because if this was truly an active shooter, even if only one person was hit, this was a chaotic scene. I don't know that we had enough cops there to handle it. I think we did.
That's a big scene.
It's a big scene. And so but again, hats off to the PD for their follow-up. I think the follow-up is what's important, in finding those people that want to step forward and say, this is wrong. I was there, and this is what I witnessed. This is how I felt. I think that those are important things to have in a criminal complaint. And again, the heroics of this from a law enforcement standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, from a superintendent standpoint, are all awesome things that were tested. And I think, hats off to Chippewa County. They had that rollover crash with the young kids. There's so much going on. Chippewa County for that response, from a medical response. Yeah. And we trained for some of this. And in fact, we're training in October. We'll be training with the Cumberland Police Department on a bus crash. So we're working towards some of this responses because it is chaotic, and we need to create the chaos so that we learn from it. And this one happened to just be a real incident, but I think we learn from it. We'll debrief it. We'll continue to debrief it. I put a note to my people saying, hey, what worked from a law enforcement standpoint? What didn't work? What didn't you like? What did you like? I've talked to many citizens. I'm like, hey.
I was just going to ask,
yep.
Did you put anything on your Facebook page? Well, I didn't even realize. I should have checked that this morning, because I know we had a lot of responses, and I like it when the topics are about, or the comments are about the topic and about the situation. I love those, but of course, then there's always a number of them that are, how dare you, Dryden? And it's whatever. You're an idiot.
I didn't.
Drew should keep telling me not to call people idiots, but I can't help it. You're just an idiot when it comes to that. You just are. So if you didn't put anything out, like, what feedback have you gotten? Not just about these are just kids, but I mean, in terms of the response in the community, what are you hearing?
It was awesome. I mean, the people were awed by the response. I mean, some people think it's too much. I mean, there's never too much in a situation like this. No. I can tell you that from working bigger cases, there's never enough help. But yeah, people felt we were there to help them, save them. So yeah, I don't think that, I've talked to some people who wish they would have been able to get it on their phones quicker, some real information from me or from Chief Rue or whoever the chief is. And so we're going to talk about that, saying maybe we do something right away, saying, we don't know what it is, and send it out so people hear it from a real source. I'm not saying the media didn't have it somewhat accurate, because at that time they had as much information as we had, and we were racing around looking for people shooting. There's no question. It just happened to be not shots. It was a car. And we had people start to tell us that we think it's a car backfiring, but we're not sure. So we were building that. We were building it, but we can't say, that's, that might be a gunshot. It might be a car backfiring. So all in all, I think it was a great response. Everybody did all they could, from citizens to law enforcement to EMS to fire. And it all worked out. It's sad that it had to be two kids maybe learning a lesson during this, but I think it'll all come out, and hopefully something good happens.
I know, but I don't know if I'd want to actually refer to them as victims. There's another word here for something, but having you were talking about, and what that complaint in our story that it said, and you had mentioned it too, coaches jumping on players.
Yeah.
You never think about that as you're a kid. I don't know, was it a middle school or a high school football game? Middle school. So, you get some 13, 14-year-old boys, just kids out there, and they're hearing this and having to experience it. It's just weird. Look at our life. Like when we were young. When you and I were young, and if that happened, we probably, now I think about it, I don't know if it would have actually created, I don't know if we'd be talking about law enforcement immediately thought this was shots fired, because that's what citizens are saying. Maybe they would, maybe not, but it's just a weird world that we live in. And the kids having to kind of experience that. Now, again, thankfully it wasn't, but it's just weird.
Right.
So
it was.
Poor people had to go through all that stuff. All right. Anything else that you want to?
No,
Be sure we talk about that. Good job to you and everyone for doing that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Obviously, we're always looking for input. If anybody's got input, my email's out there and my phone number. See me. I understand it. But yeah, give us some feedback of what you'd like different, and we'll be happy to look into it. But I think we did everything we could have with the information we had in the time frame we had. And but yeah,
and now that you were saying, you're going to do an after action report. Basically, what could we have done, and now what can we learn from that? It's like a real, it's a stress test. And thankfully, it was perfect because it wasn't what you thought it was, but you can actually learn from that as well. So that's just going to make you guys even better.
And we're going to talk about what if it wasn't. I mean, we're also going to go into that when we talk about it after. What if it wasn't? What if there would have been 2 people shot in the parking lot at Walmart? And then is it isolated? Is it not isolated? I mean, you go through all of that as a law enforcement officer, but you got to build it up, and we got to, it's all things we're talking about. But yeah, hats off to law enforcement on this.
Yeah, Rice Lake. I mean, everyone involved. Holy cow! Yeah. You have isn't that outdoor family?
Yep, that's Saturday
day coming up.
Youth Hunt Day, our Youth Outdoor Day. Come out, law enforcement, volunteers, Law Enforcement Academy will be out there teaching kids how to be safe when they're hunting, use of weapons. There's archery, there's fishing, there's all kinds of stuff. It's a real fun day. 10 to 3, it's on our Facebook site. Yeah, hope everybody comes out. Otherwise, other than that, I'm heading to hockey this weekend, and that's about it.
All right. I have this Thursday guest Romaine Quinn will be on for his monthly show, and also joining us will be Duke Tucker. He's the Republican running in the 75th Assembly District. And then on Friday, I have a guest, Jane Kleiss. She's, and we didn't schedule it this way, it was just based on their availabilities, the Democrat running in the 75th. Jane Kleiss, she'll be on Friday. And our official weather forecast from our official weatherman, Dirk Miller. A few clouds moving in the morning hours, mostly sunny for the afternoon. The brain-numbing weather continues for our area, meaning pleasant weather for the week and into the weekend. Highs warming the 70s, 80s. Oh, my goodness. 60s or 70s today.
It's cool in the morning.
Lows warming to the low mid 50s in the week. Yeah, this is like a great week. This feels like fall. And I think fall has officially started, a couple days ago or something. Yeah. So awesome.
Next week it'll be October 1st, and we'll be hitting it hard. So.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Next Tuesday is October 1st.
You know what October 1st also is?
What?
Our 9-year anniversary of Dryden.
Oh,
we started October 1st, 2015.
Wow.
Yeah,
sweet.
I know.
You're old.
I also know, yes. For Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald, I'm Dryden Wire founder Ben Dryden, and you've been watching Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy, presented by Professional Exteriors and Interiors. With 20 years of experience, this locally owned and operated business provides quality work both on the inside and on the outside of your home or business. Give them a call today. See what they can do for you. The number's right there on the screen. We'll see all of you right back here next week for another exciting episode of Positive Tuesday with Ben and Fitzy. So until then, thank you for watching, and as always, have a blessed day.